Hello, networkers, and welcome back to another episode of Ask the Network Engineer, where I will answer one of your questions. And in this episode, I'm going to answer a question that was posted by Vegan Noth, and this was in response to a video that I did about the election in 2016 that happened in the United States in November 2016, if you're watching this from a different country. And I talked about, well, what does that really mean as a network engineer? Does it impact you and that sort of thing? Just want to talk about that at different perspectives. It's not a political video. It's just more of kind of what does that mean as a network engineer? And I kind of shared my experiences of does that impact me? Like who's in the White House and that sort of thing. So check out that video for more details of what I talked about. So in Vegan's comment here or question, it was a really good one. So I wanted to actually summarize it to really illustrate what the question is really about. So what he's saying is that in today's society, things are moving at a progression where things are becoming more automated. So as a result, it is starting to displace people with their jobs, which means people's and their jobs are becoming obsolete. And the example he used is self-driving cars, right? So if you have a job where you drive cars, your job in the future will become obsolete, which means you have to find some other alternative. And that makes sense. You talk about like Amazon is considering doing their deliveries using drones. So that will basically take an impact on what FedEx and UPS and Postal Service. It will impact them because drone technology can start delivering these packages. I think we're so far away from that because there's a lot of questions and concerns about that, but the possibility is there. I remember that Domino's is considering having basically these little, not cars, but like these very small little miniature cars or something like that, that can deliver pizzas, okay? All self-navigating without any people. So that means that they don't need drivers anymore, you know? Or certain restaurants where they're gonna have robots going up there, placing your orders and delivering your food, which means you do not need to hire a waitress and cooks and things like that. That is really what Vegan's question is really about. That these things are happening, so that means that a lot more people, because of technology improving, becoming automated, are going to lose their jobs. So what about networking? Let's talk about that. The first thing that you have to consider is that even a possibility? Could that really happen in our field where there's some kind of a technology that could replace network engineers? The answer is yes. And if you've been watching a lot of these episodes and seen the things that we've been talking about, you know what that is. Software-defined networks. Where an SDN is basically taking a particular appliance, a turnkey appliance that can interact with each network device for how it will route to various destinations, deal with security enforcement, choosing the best path, things like that. That is happening now, but that is more in a data center environment. But then that started to now extend to the WANs. Now we have software-defined WANs or SD-WANs, where we can have many network connections and it can route to different locations, choosing the best path based on its performance, latency, and things like that. Okay, so with this kind of SDN technology, that means that we won't need a full-time network engineer to manage our networks. But don't worry though, we are a long ways from there. I've seen a lot of networks that have a lot of unique requirements. I know what SDN can do. It is nowhere close in terms of it fully automating an entire network infrastructure based on the unique requirements that organizations have. It isn't going to happen. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you should just say, "Woof, okay, so I'll just continue as is." You don't want to do that, okay, because you could be displaced in very, very short time. Technology grows very fast, so you could definitely become obsolete if you're not smart about it. Another thing to also keep in mind is that a lot of companies are pushing their services up to the cloud. Okay. So that means that a lot of companies now, they're not managing a server anymore or servers and things like that. That's being pushed up to the cloud. So that's affecting more server administrators. So that's something that is a concern because that's happening a lot. I know a lot of companies are pushing email services away from their servers and using Office 365. That is happening at such a very fast rate. I do a lot of consulting work for a lot of Microsoft partners, and they're saying that the days of having an in-house mail server, that is evaporating extremely fast. So if you are a system administrator watching this video right now, I will keep that in mind. I'm not trying to, I'm not a server administrator, so just keep that in mind because it's definitely something that is happening out there. And also that means that that network services themselves may not be as required to have a network engineer on staff. They may rely more with getting consultants. So for me personally, I'm still busy doing consulting work, so it's not going down anytime soon. But I'm not seeing a lot of organizations looking for network engineers. That's something you got to definitely keep in mind. That they're looking at, we'll just consult and get network engineers on a as needed basis. Okay, so that's something to consider. Furthermore, if all these networks or these servers are being up to the cloud, you're looking at cloud computing. I talked a lot about that in other episodes. But if you're doing networking, you need to be looking at data center and the cloud. That's where the networking genius is at and where you should be at if you want to get into networking. Security and data center. I probably mentioned that several times, but focus on those specialties to keep you ahead of the game. Another point that I do want to make is when it comes to jobs, you want to be in a job that involves you creating something or developing something, that you're not told what you need to do. Okay? So here's how I usually explain this to people. I think that in society, there are 3 levels of jobs. Okay? Like level 3, level 2, and level 1. Okay? And like a level 1 job, okay, that is a type of job where a person has a checklist or basically what to do. Okay, I go ahead and do my job. So I first do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. This paper tells me everything that I need to do my job. Okay, that's like fast food, warehouse, a lot of blue collar jobs. You're basically just following a checklist. Okay, simple as that. Now I'm dropping my notepad here. It's the second level job is a person that has a partial checklist, right? So they may have like a few things there, but it's up to them to expand on that, like a teacher. So a teacher is going to have basically a curriculum of this is what you got to teach the kids for math, okay? And the teacher just has to make a lesson plan around those points, okay? Then you get to a level 3. That is a person, there is no checklist. There's no step, like what steps you need to follow. There's nothing. You're creating that checklist. You're developing that checklist that other people are going to follow, okay? That is the position that you want to be in. There's this cartoon that I used to watch when I was younger called the Jetsons. Okay, if you're young, you probably don't know the series, but just bear with me for a second. So the Jetsons is basically, it takes place in the future. They got a lot of futuristic stuff. And there's this guy named George Jetson. He has his wife and his 2 kids. I think he has 2 kids, right? He has like this robot called Rosie. But he goes to work. I think he goes to work at this company called Spacely Space Sprockets, right? I'll show some pictures here so you kind of see what I'm talking about here. So George, he goes to work And you see this actually in the opening credit for that cartoon. He goes in, and his job is basically he just pushes this button. That's his job. And when he pushes this button, it's creating these space sprockets, like these gears or something like that. That's his job. He presses the button. So let's go through the different levels now. So a level 1 job will be George, which is a person who just pushes the button. Okay. A level 2 job is a person that is basically building that machine, following the blueprint. Okay, so I connect this wire, I connect this cable, got it. Okay. Who's building that machine that George Jetson is going to press 8 hours a day. Okay. And a level 3 is the person who is actually designing that machine. They're doing the actual design that's going to produce this result, and it's going to basically give to people to build and have George Jetson push the button, and other people like him who work at the same company. You want to be the person that is designing that particular component. That's the one that's going to make you more valuable. And when it comes to network engineering, specifically, bringing this back now to a networking conversation, Programming is really what's going to really accomplish that, and to give you a skill set of a level 3 job level, basically. Okay, that means you are creating things. You're creating programs. You have to figure out what that is. Okay, that's extremely important, and that's what's going to make you very, very employable. Because other than that, it's going to be all automated. Okay. Now, the cartoon was more like a joke. It's the cartoon back in the 1950s, I think even earlier than that, I believe, the Jetsons. But it's a very strong argument that shows you can be replaced. I don't need George Jetson pushing the button. I can have that automated, though. You don't think that could happen? That can happen, okay? And that means that, yes, your job will be obsolete, okay? And then, yes, the people who are building it, they probably have more job security. But the ones who are actually designing this, that are creating this, those are the ones that have a lot better chance of not being displaced. So in summary, okay, you want to build towards a career and have a conditioning of a level 3 job where you do not require following some kind of a checklist of how to do your job or how to create something that will improve something in the company that you are a part of. Okay? You got to work on that. And I get the feeling from my experience that there's a lot of people that rely on telling them what to do step by step. Look, a couple of weeks ago, there was this particular problem. And I'm actually going to do a separate video on this as a troubleshooting topic, okay, that perfectly illustrates this. So that'll be a different topic, but let me at least talk about it here because it's definitely in the right context for this conversation. So there was this one particular company that had a web server and they pushed it up to the cloud, okay? And their web server at certain times of the day got 100% for CPU usage. So they contacted me. They're panicking. They don't know what the hell's going on here. They had to reboot the server. And I'm like, I'm a network guy. You need to talk to a server administrator. Okay? That's not my specialty. I don't do that. Yeah, I dibble and dabble in some server stuff, but I am by no means an expert in that. You need to go to an expert to get an expert decision on that and to resolve that. But they're just in complete panic. This is, please, we'll pay you anything. We just need something to go off. So I said, okay, fine. It was a Linux-based system, so I have some experience with Linux. I'm not an expert by any means. But I went ahead and logged in and checked things out and did a lot of Google searches. I had to try to figure this out. And eventually, I'm proud of myself, I solved the problem. And that was great because this illustrates the level 3 job that I'm talking about. I have no experience in this. Actually, the problem was related to a database. I have this much experience with databases, but I figured out exactly what the problem was because I did a lot of Google searches. I did a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of different things, testing this and out, that sort of thing like that. And the problem was solved. That'd be a separate video topic. But the point is, I didn't have someone give me a little checklist saying, okay, the server's at 100%. Here's how I troubleshoot that. I was looking for that. It wasn't out there. So I went ahead and I did what I usually do for learning new technologies. How do I handle this kind of stuff? You need to be in that same position. That if there's something that you want to do and you don't know how to do it, figure it out. Because you're going to condition your brain so that you're going to be the one that's creating the script and the instructions and the steps for trying to accomplish things. And that's what programming is, right? Programming is really the same kind of thing, though. You're trying to figure out exactly how do I program this to create this result. Programming is really the most effective way that's going to help you condition your brain. And in the future, though, yes, a lot of things will be program-based. So get the experience of knowing how to program so that you can advance your skills with other programming languages, and that will get you more prepared and get you become more valuable for whatever comes in the future and to prevent you from being displaced or becoming obsolete. And we are done with this episode. So if you have any questions about being a network engineer or anything in the networking field, post those questions below in the comments and your question will come up in the future episode on this channel. So thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. That means a lot. And support us and check out our training at routehub.net, where recently we released a brand new video series for Python programming for network engineers. It took a long time to do it. It's finally released. I'm very proud about it, where I teach you the basics of Python and we build out 3 different network applications with configuration, implementation, and network monitoring. It's a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff. So check that out for more information. And until next time, keep networking.